I want to get into why I think they're going to be forced to do something. The amount of backlash we're seeing right now seems to be unprecedented. Like, I'm not going to get into all the stats, but it's out there. Like, this has never happened to PlayStation this badly before, not even close. And it's starting to become an issue.
This is like the worst backlash anything Sony has said since like the great PlayStation outage that killed Zipper Interactive. It could be worse. That was at the end of the day a temporary thing that they apologized for, and they're sure as going to need to apologize for this if they don't want to lose a lot of fans.
They're going to try to advertise a new camera, and all comments will just be Sony. And that is going to be noticed by other parts of Sony, by executives. They're going to realize they can't roll out an ad campaign. And I don't think this is going to fizzle out. And I believe marketing, and I believe the execs at the top will see this going into 2027 if they don't change course sooner, which I think they might. And I do believe they will either find a compromise, make sure that whatever they do feels fair, or they will just entirely backtrack, because they're going to see the data. They're going to see how mad people are, and they're going to, I believe, realize a couple of things. Number one, I don't think they're as ready as they think they are to go digital only. I think they need an entire bridge generation, which is what I thought the PS6 would be, to make sure they know how to handle ownership and everything being download only, and like what the rules are, because you're clearly seeing examples where they fumble things still. And I just still don't think they're ready. But also, I do think they're going to see that their hardest core fans are gone, and that is who would buy this at launch. And if this thing fails to launch well, then people will say, well, doesn't that suck? And the momentum will continue to snowball. And people, it won't just be the launch that will be bad, just people will not buy it. And that can become a self-fulfilling prophecy where if the initial launch is bad and then people see it looks like it's bad, they don't buy it after launch because it seems like it's not the cool thing to get.
Most of the people at these studios are probably pissed about this too. And I hope that forces Sony into a position where they have to respond to keep up morale, or hell, even keep up employees. Like at a certain point, what's stopping like Naughty Dog from having a mass exodus and forming their own independent studio? Like I'm sure a lot of them are under non-compete or NDAs, and you wouldn't see all of them leave, but that's happened before with other studios.
I also want to add on why I think the backlash is so big. I'm sorry, this is just the worst time. A lot of people don't feel like this generation has lived up to the hype, and now you're telling us to get a new one and it won't play our games. This is the worst gen to not play it safe and to take something away from somebody, because everyone feels like everything's being taken away from them right now unless they're super rich. And now you're telling them they can't have their discs anymore. This is going to stick. The PS6 is going to have a failed launch. My prediction, if they do not either backtrack or make it obvious that it's still worth it, like the disc transfer to digital thing Xbox is rumored to be doing. Like if they don't handle this perfectly, I'm telling you, this will be a fucked launch for the PS6. And this is, I didn't even say it, this is the final reason I definitely think Sony will backtrack. This is the easiest generation to win if they just don't get up. Like Xbox is adrift. Nintendo isn't competing with them directly. The Steam machine just shot itself in the backyard. I mean, they have no competition. And to let something this small destroy momentum is going to be a very silly blunder. The other reason I think they'll backtrack is because this is really easy to backtrack. You could totally have much less production from Sony, but license out for like runs of indie games or special editions some capacity of discs. So first of all, this is just not true that like one factory down means 5 of them can't still somehow make one. But okay, on top of that, the bigger falsehood really is that they're ending PlayStation disc production. Sony is not ending disc production. They're not even freaking doing it. They'll say, oh, well, they already retooled the factory. First of all, they haven't. You just don't do that in a goddamn week. But what they're doing is taking most of the factory floor at that place in Austria, and that's going to go towards making these like lenses or something for VR and other stuff. Okay, but they're still going to keep like 10% of the floor to make PlayStation discs. And this is true because Sony has said this, first of all. Second of all, every game dev I've talked to has said they can still launch physical games by the 2028 date. And after that, they can still order them. they're still going to do low production runs of PlayStation 5, and then they could mean PlayStation 6 discs moving forward. And if their argument is that over time less and less games will be sold physically, then whatever, you need less capacity. You can still do it, right? Nothing is set in stone. So they can still walk it back. I think, first of all, we have to make that very clear.
Yeah, I do think Sony is very capable of walking it back. I do think the solution, I feel like I'm leaning more towards it, would probably be some USB-C thing. We'll see. And yeah, production next generation for discs might be lower than it is, but some type of preservation of physical media just for the sake of their platforms having compatibility going back and into the future. I really think you need a disk drive. And yeah, like you said, it's not that hard. Like, we have the tools there already and we have the means of like just them quickly cobbling together some device or some cord that they need to make it work. Yeah.
I think what they're going to do then is they're going to, if they do backtrack entirely, they're going to say, yeah, look, we'll still make PS4 and PS5 games. There's going to be less capacity than before. Maybe we'll license, maybe we'll buy this facility, send them one of our watermarks, lock it down, and that can do small runs of indie games when an indie dev wants to order a run of 10,000 discs or something, or a AA dev wants to have a footprint at Best Buy or on Amazon that you can physically order or something. But for the most part, expect a lot less discs to be used by studios, but it's up to them. And Sony will say, we ultimately expect most AAA games will not do this. Like a third of them won't fit on the disc next gen anyways, probably, but some of them will. And I think what you'll see happen if they do this is they will become special editions like vinyl. You could see like God of War Lofi. You could see them say, here's the Steelbook Collector's Edition, only making 100,000, pre-order now if you want to be able to get the disc version. I believe that's what we're going to have next gen, but here's why that's better than otherwise. You still can get a disc drive and play your PS4 and PS5 games on PS6. And maybe what we'll find out is that actually a significant amount of people continue to buy the disc version, and then they're like, all right, we'll scale up production. But I do believe that's what you're going to see if they backtrack.
An important thing to remember here is physical media is probably in a relatively tenuous position right now, because maybe Sony could make this argument, maybe not right now, but in the future, certainly, that this loses us money having discs or continuing to support discs. And once they're at that point, you can call it anti-consumer all you want, but at a certain point, it becomes financially stupid for Sony to continue supporting physical media.
If the argument is it doesn't make sense to them financially, that argument goes away with what I just said. I'm not saying they're going to scale up some new PS6 ultra Blu-ray that requires a new factory. No, half of the games will come on one disc, half of them will come on two discs. They'll come in a Steelbook for collectors. Okay, well, that means they didn't have to spend all of that R&D. That argument's gone. The other side of it is, they have to manufacture and ship the disc. Discs are pennies, guys. That's not an issue, first of all. Second of all, but if they add $10, it's easy. Sony just says, no, you will subsidize the cost, and it'll be a more limited thing, but whatever. And again, they could be very pro-consumer about it. They could say, in fact, now we're going to require a booklet, because if we're going to add $10 to $20 to the cost of a game to be a special edition physical, then it should be cool. And that would be that. I think that wins back everyone. Now, you still have to address the digital ownership thing, I think, but I think this could work. And I think it will, because this is what I just outlined is very easy. They're not ending production. They're going to keep some capacity. All I'm saying is they don't completely twist the knife and then let the chips fall where they may. And if collectors continue to buy these in decent numbers, I don't think they'll ever remove the disc drive. It will always be there as something for people who buy vinyl, and that's what it will remain. But that still keeps some level of control in the consumer's hands, and that still keeps some degree of a check and insurance policy that they can't completely screw us over. And I think that's a much better world than otherwise. This piece of content is sponsored by the Minis Forum G1 Pro Mini PC. Although in this case, like many of Minis Forum products, Mini PC is a misleading term to use here. Actually, especially misleading, because this doesn't just pack a dedicated GPU, this packs a dedicated low-profile desktop RTX 5060. Now that means that even though it should probably require some modding to put another low-profile GPU in it in the future, it's still plausible, making this one of the most upgradable mini PCs I've ever seen. It also comes with an H945HX Zen 4 16-core processor, so you get desktop-class CPU performance, the ability to have 2 NVMe SSDs, and expandability to up to 96 gigabytes of RAM, and it fits all of this into a very elegant 3.8-liter package. And I must say, by the way, despite its size, I was impressed. Even just pushing it into beast mode in terms of cooling and power supply, the thing never got loud at all. It was very quiet, very pleasant to be around while benchmarking. And when I benchmarked it, I found that, yeah, look, it's right at the heels of one of the fastest Strix Halo mini PCs I've tested, but that costs a lot more. And once you go into 1080p, which is probably where you're going to game with a 5060 anyways, this thing actually manages to not only beat Strix Halo in 1080p a bit, but it also manages to beat a laptop 5070, suggesting that if you overclock this thing and really supply it, yeah, it's a low profile GPU, but it's just as fast as any normal desktop GPU, and you are really getting, well, better than laptop 5070 performance in a really convincing package for a reasonable price. So I have to say, this one impressed me more than average, and I genuinely really recommend this product for those that just want a starter desktop, and one where actually you can upgrade the GPU conceivably in the future. So if you're interested in it, please check it out through the link in the description, and remember, if you buy it, to use offer code BROKENSILICON to save, not just in the United States, but in many different regions where this offer code works. A lot of my fans are not in the United States. Don't worry, I've got you covered as well. So please support Moore's Law is Dead by checking out the Minis Forum G1 Pro today.